This video will show how to use FIWARE Monitoring GE. The enabler is intended to integrate with your existing monitoring tool, so that you don't have to change the way you are already monitoring your infrastructure. Instead, you only have to install a specific component to intercept your monitoring data and process it. In this session, we'll do that with Nagios monitoring tool. And we will install this component, NGSI Event Broker. It is a Nagios module to be loaded on Nagios Startup that will intercept all data generated by Nagios plugins, the monitoring probes, and send such data to the other component, NGSI Adapter, which is the responsible to transform data into a common format, NGSI, and send such data to a context broker. Let's see our Nagios configuration. It is a very simple one with just one host to be monitored and with a single service to check the CPU load. The first step will be to set up the Event Broker module. Let's go to the Nagios main configuration file, and here we include a new module to be loaded. Let's take the configuration and include it here. We see the full path of the broker to be loaded, and here are the two arguments needed for this module. First one is the region that denotes the infrastructure we are monitoring. This will be prepended to all the identifiers of entities being monitored. The second argument is the URL of the NGSI adapter the data will be sent to. Let's save this, then restart Nagios. Okay, let's take a look at the log file, and seems everything is okay. These are the logs corresponding to this new module, starting up, the arguments, and successfully initialized. Now let's go to the Nagios web interface and let's force the execution of this check. Okay. Seems okay. And now let's see the log. And here we find a warning. The reason is because the NGSI adapter server couldn't be reached. In this case because it's currently down. So let's start the service. Let's check adapter logs. Okay, server now is listening, and let's repeat last step. We force again the execution of the check. Okay, and let's see the log file of Nagios. Now we see that monitoring data has been processed and sent to NGSI adapter. Let's take a look at the details here. This is the URL of NGSI adapter. This was given with an argument of the module. Here is the name of the probe that has been run. Here is the identifier of the entity being monitored. We see the region prepended and the IP address as identifier of the host being monitored, and here we see the NGSI type of the entity. In this case, the module assumes it is a virtual machine. Let's check the adapter logs. Here we see a request to update the context of an entity has been received, and data has been processed and sent to the context broker. Here we see the identification of the entity, and we can see the attribute CPU load percentage and the value. Let's check if this has been sent to the context broker by using the REST API of the context broker. Let's make the query, and we see no result. The reason is because the type is not a physical host. It was a virtual machine. So now we see that the information has reached the context broker. We see the entity that has been monitored, the attribute, value, and the timestamp. Then, what if we want to change the entity type? What if it's not a virtual machine but a physical host? Then, what we can do is to explicitly change the service configuration here, check CPU load, to set an entity type different from the default VM value. Let's take this parameter, entity type, and include it here. We save this, and now we have to restart Nagios. Let's check the log. Okay, success. And let's repeat the same operation. We force the execution of the check. Okay. And now let's see. NGSI adapter is invoked, and look, now physical host is the entity type. If we query context broker, specifying physical host as entity type, now we see the information. What else? Let's add a new service to check this host. Suppose we want to check the free swap space. Well, as usual in Nagios, we define a new service here. Let's take this definition and add it here. It's very similar to the former one. We are monitoring a physical host. In this case is check swap probe, and once again we have to restart Nagios. Let's check everything is okay. Good. Let's take a look at the Nagios interface. Same host, but now with two services. Let's force the execution of the new service. Okay. we have to wait for a second. Now, here's the information. From Nagios' point of view, everything is okay. We have plenty of swap space free, so everything is okay. But well, here we see data has been sent to the adapter. Again, the type physical host. This is the identifier of the host being monitored. Now we see here the name of the probe, which is different from the former one. Now it's check swap, and let's take a look at the adapter. Here we find an error. Unknown probe check swap. What's happened? NGSA adapter doesn't know how to process that data from this new probe. So we have to provide a specific parser for check swap probe. If we take a look at NGSA adapter, here we find a folder named parsers, in which we could add new parsers for the new probes we use. So let's create just a new file, check swap, and here we can find how easy it is to create a JavaScript parser just to gather the free swaps PCT attribute from the data coming from the probe. We save this. Obviously we have to restart NGSA adapter. Let's stop it, start it again. Let's check this listening. Now we can force again the execution of this check swap probe. Again, the same result. Let's take a look. Now data is correctly processed. Here we see free swap PCT value 100, and if we query context broker physical host, now we see not only the CPU load PCT attribute but also the free swap PCT.